Okay. All right. How's it going, everybody? How are you doing? My name's Dom Zook, and I am the executive producer here at Saving Throw. And it's high time that I did another State of the Throw, Fireside Chat, Proficiency Check, whatever you want to call it, where I talk about what's going on right now. Other channels do this like every month, and I do it like once a year. But maybe I'll do it more often if you guys are into it. Uh, yeah, Dirk Portley. Who'd have thunk? But it's me, your friendly neighborhood Dom Zook. And it's really weird because it's quiet. I'm the only person in the studio, and things are a little askew and askance due to filming of a new project, which you might have seen a little bit of our Eberron show that we've been working on. Hey, Megan. Hey, Raiders. Shields up, everybody. And I'll even show you the shield that the shield emote is based off of when we get going. Thanks so much. Thanks for the bits. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. Not even an STS snore. No Harold. Harold is away right now. Yeah. I have things set up a little bit differently. Let me see if I can actually make this work. It will be a little bit better for me to watch you guys. Oh, of course I didn't do it right. All right, never mind. Well, I'll keep it there for now. Okay. Anyway, welcome everybody. So it's me. It's your friend Dom, and I have some questions. People submitted questions via the Google form, the questionnaire. I'm going to be answering those first. After I answer those questions, the world is your oyster. You are free to ask any questions that you like. And be happy to answer them. While I'm answering questions, I'm going to be doing a little unboxing here. Wizard sent us a bunch of the new Avernus minis from what would you call, this is what, WizKids? Yeah, WizKids. And so I'm going to be opening up a couple of boxes of those just so you can see kind of what these guys look like. They're pretty cool, and we're using them right now on the Broken Pact. So I will talk about them. All right, have a good meal, Farquaad. I'll talk to you later. Yeah, we were just talking about how many aces everyone has in season 2 of ETU, and turns out, Megan, it's you. So go figure. Yeah. So normally, like, I can just focus on things that happen and everything like that. I don't have to like talk to people too. So I'm going to be bouncing around and doing talking and looking at chat and looking at numbers and all of that other stuff. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start answering questions. So let's start. Question number 1 comes to us from DJ Who is in chat. Welcome, DJ Who. Nice to see you. Your question is probably asked, but curious about technical aspects of making a show. I know it differs from show to show, but behind the scenes. Also, how do you get volunteers or talent for streaming? Great questions. Lots of questions. You snuck 2 questions into one question field. That's pretty sneaky, but I'll allow it. That's fine. What are the technical aspects of the show? Ooh, this is a long drawn out. So basically, let me start out and re-preface what I'm doing. So normally at conventions, I often have a panel that's called Streaming RPGs, the tech, where I talk about how to set up a stream and build it out and create it and all of that stuff. Our stuff is different than a lot of other streamers. As you can tell, we're here, we're in a studio. We are not doing a Roll20 stream or anything like that. Everyone's sitting around the same table. So why don't I switch to this camera here? And then, yeah, so now you can see that's what I'm looking at, essentially. That is the other end of the studio. So I'll just give you a tour of the studio and kind of explain what each sort of area is. And then you can kind of tell, or if you have additional questions from there about how I operate and run things, I can kind of take you through it. But let's start out here. So this is the opposite end from the game table. This is the back. This is our green screen. You can see that there's a big old mess. That's because we had to take down a lot of stuff that's in our normal area so that we could accommodate our new Eberron show, which you'll see some sneak peeks a little bit as I go through here. You'll see some sneak peeks of the set. But here you can see quite clearly. You can see the green screen. And yep, there it is. And over here is our costume rack. You can see the original scarf that I used to wear as James Bogue is in there. A lot of Bogue costumes, a lot of Ron costumes, and other things. This is also where we shoot Mana Dorks. So usually those lights up on the top are these guys are on for the green screen, and we can light up the boys that way. They sit on the couch and they play. Yeah, I get to dress up as a cowboy. Howdy, howdy, howdy. If anyone knows that reference, shout out to you. And yes, there is a Twitch shirt in there and an IKEA couch. But a lot of things have moved down here. So there's the shield. That shield is normally behind me. It's normally here, but there's something else here right now. And it's not the backdrop for Pirates of Salt Bay. There's something else there, which you'll see when the show comes out. But our minis are back there, or at least some of our minis are back there, and just a lot of stuff is being stored right now. And so let's see, we back up again. And we look over here. Here is basically where I operate everything. This is my control area. So you can see here quite easily. You can see on the far right is the audio mixer. And that's a Mackie, an old Mackie, I think like an 812 or 1612 or something like, yeah, 1612. Yeah, Domception. Oh, whoa. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, I can't get any more right. That's as far right as I can get. Right now, anyway. So we have all of our audio. I'll show you the microphone setup that we have around the table. And that all goes via XLR cable into that mixer right there. From the mixer into the limiter, which if you were an early fan of Saving Throw, about 5 years ago, you know that we really didn't have the limiter working the way that we wanted it to be working. And it caused some problems with audio. But now it's working okay. It's not ideal, but I'll get to that later. And it is not the shark from Toy Story. That is not the reference I'm mentioning, though. That I get what you're saying. It is not the shark from Toy Story. He does do that, though, but there's an earlier reference than Toy Story. So anyway, so all of our microphones go into that mixer there. From the mixer, they go into the limiter, which is backwards. Shouldn't be that way, but that's the way we have to do it. It goes into the limiter. From the limiter, it goes into a little box, which you can't see, which is behind that stack of drawers there, into our computers. We have two computers there. We have our streaming computer and our gaming computer. When we do Mana Dorks, they play off the gaming computer and we stream off the streaming computer. We keep it separate. It just makes it easier for us to do a lot of the switching and managing and stuff like that without having to share a bunch of screens and everything like that. And it also helps save like bandwidth and CPU and all of that. Anyway, it goes into a little box, which is a Focusrite 2i2. Goes in there, and then it's converted to a USB signal. It goes into the computer from there. So that's our audio. Yeah, got to keep it separated. Bang, bang. And let's see, right above the mixer, you see some more faders up there. That thing that looks like it's attached to the mixer, but it's a little bit different, a little bit darker. That's our lighting control, and that's a relatively new addition. A while ago, I put some lights up on our Amazon wish list, and a fan got us some of those lights, and that was really nice of them. And so I've been working on building out the system so that we had kind of a more theatrical look to the shows, and we had some color and stuff like that. And I finally, after like 2 years of having this thing, finally figured out how to program DMX. So hire me for all your lighting design needs. I now know what I'm doing. But yeah, that's our lighting control board, and that controls just about everything. I have most of our lights set up now so that we can do things like 10 candles or whatever that need some special lighting. 2 monitors. Right beneath the monitor, you see that kind of amber looking light right there. That's our limiter. So big pat on the back for the limiter. And then, yeah, and we are using OBS. I'm not using Streamlabs OBS. I just use straight up OBS Studio. And that's what you see right there. And above that, if we go up, we got a big old TV up there. That shows me every time folks donate or sub or resub or drop bits or whatever. That pops up on that screen right there, and it monitors. We used to use this screen for the table here, but you'll see we changed things up a little bit after I got some additional equipment. Is there something other than OBS I would like to be using? No, I love OBS. OBS is great. There's like 2 things that OBS doesn't do that I wish it did. Like media timers, essentially. So like when we do intros and stuff, I know from sight how long they are and when they're about to end, but it would be really nice. Most professional packages have a countdown timer, essentially, and they say this media is 1 minute long, and then there's a little timer there, and it will just count down as the media goes, and sometimes there's a progress bar. Some of the really expensive, like TriCaster and stuff like that, those have countdown tools on them, but we do not have a TriCaster. TriCaster costs more than we pay in rent, so it's not coming anytime soon. But honestly, OBS does everything else. There's almost no reason. TriCaster is great, and everything in between is really kind of not wonderful. I've seen people use vMix for things, and that's fine, but you need an expensive subscription and stuff for that. And honestly, OBS does everything that I need it to. Streamlabs OBS is very nice, but there's a lot of things that Streamlabs OBS can't do that I can do on OBS Studio. So I just keep using OBS Studio, and that's great. It is OBS is relatively affordable because it's free. I can't imagine a better system that is as cheap as that. So that's really what it comes down to. XSplit, we used to use XSplit. We started using, when we very first started with Barkey's Brigade and stuff, we were using XSplit. But I found that OBS Studio was way more customizable, and the features were updated much faster because it's more of a user uh, I don't know, they submitted fixes and stuff like that. So I like OBS a lot better. Let's see. So that's our control center. So basically everything, all the cameras, what you can't see is right behind the mixer, and underneath the small monitor is our ATEM television studio. And that's what, this is a little bit tricky because our cameras, back when we very first started Barky's Brigade, we used to do camera switching, and we started with a ATEM. Thank you very much, Elias. Thank you for the $30. That's awesome. I can't wait to see you, Ronnie, again for junior year of ETU. I can't wait to Ronnie either. I'm very much looking forward to coming back. November 1st, we'll be back. So we used to do camera switching, and we used the Blackmagic ATEM, ATEM television studio. And they updated that, and we now we're using the updated version of that, but we don't do camera switching anymore. I found that it was much easier. We decided it's hard to keep up with camera switching. If you want to kind of keep the sort of technical nature and be able to both monitor chat, deal with incoming things that are affecting the game, and also deal with any sort of external elements, having to also switch cameras is difficult at best. A lot of times what we would have happen is the camera would stay on one person, and that person would not be talking or not be the focus of the scene, and we'd go, oh, crap, and then we'd have to quickly fix it and stuff like that. So I wanted to update us to something more like what Critical Role, their sort of layout was, which sort of reduces the need to do a whole lot of camera switching, but we can still do scene switching from within OBS. So our cameras are we have 3 main cameras, and they're all Blackmagic cameras. And they talk to the ATEM television studio. And so I can do things like focus and color balance and a lot of other things through the ATEM software. But the cameras, the video feed themselves is fed directly into the computer using a Blackmagic Decklink. What do we use? Decklink Quad, I think. That's what's going into the computer. It's not the best setup. There are better cards out there, but it certainly does the trick about 98% of the time. So I am very happy to do that. STS uses Blackmagic. Confirmed. Yes. The voodoo, if you will. So yeah, that's the back. I realize the the image that you're seeing, I'm looking at it on a TV here. The image you're seeing is quite small, so it's probably hard for you to tell any of these things that I'm talking about. But if you squint real close, you might be able to see some of that stuff. I'll try and zoom in on some things when I flip it around here. So yeah, so all the cameras are plugged into the computer directly. And yeah, we wanted to make it so that you're not missing anything. We also took away the dice cam because we felt that you were missing the people's reactions to the dice, which I felt was way more important than than seeing it roll. It's fun to see the dice roll. It's fun to see what that is. But we found that if we just made it a tiny little window, it's hard to read. A lot of people bring their own dice, and their own dice are not meant to be read on a camera. And so we just decided to opt out of using that. So there we go. I'm realizing I'm spending a long time answering this first question from DJ Who, but we have time. We have time. So let me spin it around here. Okay, we keep going. There's the entrance. There's our costume rack. Right behind this well-placed chair, up here, this is our sort of storage area. It's also quite messy. This Keurig is normally not here. But this is where all of our snacks and also a bunch of other bits, lighting, sound, camera equipment, etc., is all around here. And it's cleverly covered up by that chair. There's Harold's water bowl. There's a Nintendo controller. There's this awesome dice. What I want to call it? Dice roller tray. Dice tray. That was sent to us via viewer Kermit323, and it's come from Dogmite. So thank you for that. Let's see here. Continuing around. So here's a camera tower. I don't know, 1. Let's just say camera tower 1 because this is what you're seeing. So right there where the red sign is, at the top of the screen, in the top middle of the screen, that's here. That's our that's camera. So that's this is the camera that is on this side of the table, which you can't quite tell, but the camera left side of the table, I guess you would say. And dice tower, camera tower, dice tower, dice tray. So anyway, this little thing was my idea, was basically to what we used to have in our old studio. So for those of you who are fairly new to the channel, this is actually our 3rd studio space. Our first studio space was Tyler Rhodes' garage. And there's fun stories. If you ever meet me at a convention, I'll happily tell you about how we used to always set up for Barky's Brigade and everything, and it was a big pain in the butt. Our second studio space was in a casting office in Hollywood, in West Hollywood, and that was a big pain in the butt, and it was much, much smaller than our space here. We literally had room for the table, and that was about it. Then we found this place, and this has been awesome for us. And but what I wanted to do is, what we used to have is, we used to this camera used to be on big tripod, and it just got in the way. You basically had 3 tripods standing right in front of the table, and there just was not room for people to move about, and you couldn't like lock them. We didn't really have any way to prevent people from accidentally hitting them or something like that. So I got these tiny little tripods, and they just happened to fit in this bookcase. This is an IKEA bookcase, and it just happens to fit. You don't know my answer? You have to explain yourself, Jordan. Oh, you don't know. Are we growing out of the space? Yeah. Are we growing out of the space? Yes and no. I'll get to that later. Remind me again. So anyway, tiny little tripods stuck into here, and it gets rid of that issue. So we have that. Things are a little bit. We have our studio monitors. So the thing that's a little bit difficult with these is that sometimes we have to delicately balance the sound that's coming out of these speakers so that the players can hear what's going on, and also so that you can hear what's going on, and it doesn't sound like echoey or anything like that, or that there's any sort of like effect like that it's coming in later or anything like that. I did Dead Gunslinger, but I'll mention it again. We're using Blackmagic micro studio cameras, 4K. These are 4K cameras that we are not recording or filming in 4K, but they are 4K capable. So anyway, this little tower also has some more of our minis, and you can see up here is we've got the train station and a building from our Deadlands, and also there's James Bogue's gun, one of his guns. So let me just whip around here. Oh, what's that? Oh, I don't know. It's just, hey, that's me. Hey, everybody. Hi. This is me. So what you can see here is both a little glimpse of the Eberron set, but also this is our main camera. So this is the GM cam that you're looking at here. And right above the light is another TV. And this TV is basically what we use for the table to see when people donate and stuff. So when you donate or tip or send bits of $1 or more, or 100 bits rather, or resub or sub or whatever, it pops up on our little event list, and they can see it by looking at this TV. We used to have a big TV in the back, which I showed you earlier, which was hard for some people at the table to see. They kind of had to crane their necks and look around. And so this, I was able to get a free TV stand from our landlord, and it just sort of made sense to put this all together. So a lot of these things are, we'll get something free and I will put it together and try and make something work and be different. What you can see a little bit up here is, let's see if I can get up. See where that cardboard is? That's the back of our clock, so everyone can see. You can see the lights around here. If I go over here, here's one of the lights. This is one of the colored lights. It's focusing on that cable, which is brilliant. That's exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Anyway, that light is one of our, what you can call them DJ lights. And it's one of the lights that I can control. Thank you, David Flagel. Thank you very much. $31. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Look at that. Can I? That's my Robert Redford. You can see we have these guys, these soft boxes. We have actually behind that TV, there's 2 more soft boxes. So we have a total of 5 of these white lights that are around the table. And we have 3 colored lights above me, and all of them are controlled via the color deck the lighting deck that I showed you earlier. And then let's see if I go over here. Here's the microphones that we use. Oh, it's just going to focus on these stupid cables. There we go. Okay, so this is each side of the table has the same microphone. It's a Rode NT1A. And so that's what they use. And it's got a fairly good wide pickup pattern. So it's pretty good. It uses what's called a cardioid pickup pattern. So it's sort of shaped like a heart. And it can get 2 people fairly well. It's better if you're directly in front of it rather than kind of off axis, but it does a pretty decent job, and it's got a nice sound to it. So I really like these Rode NT1As. And then I am using the GM uses this, which is an Audio-Technica. I forget the designation for it, but this guy right here is great, and it's nice because it's very directional and really just gets the GM. Thank you, David Flagel. Thanks for the 720. Nice, even. Oh, I see. You're fixing it up. Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. I started opening things and then I was showing the stuff. I'll get back to opening my unboxing as we go. But here's our table. This is our Carolina game table, which you can see. I really like this table. I loved my old table because it was custom built for me by a friend, and it's still in the studio, but it's up on its side. and I can't show it to you right now. But this table is perfect for what we need, and it was built specifically for streaming. So if you are streaming or want to stream or something, look into these Carolina game tables. They're awesome. They just had a Kickstarter for their 5x5, which is a 5 foot by 5 foot square table, and they do beautiful work. So definitely check them out. Yeah, and then let's see if I continue over here. We have our mini bar, which is really not much of a mini bar. It's a really mini bar, tiny bar, where all of Jordan's disgusting scotches and whiskeys and such are. Yeah, please don't mess up. Please don't mess up the numbers by donating that. I mean, please don't. Please don't tip like $3,400 and hit our goal today. That would, man, how juicy for all of the GMs who are constantly working hard to raise money for shows and stuff like that, and yet I raise the rest of the month's rent all alone. How would that look? Pretty darn good, if you ask me. There you see another camera and another monitor and our little mini fridge. So when you see Jordan or someone reaching over to grab something, that's where they're grabbing it from. Let's see. I might be able to squeeze past these soundboards and come back to this so I can kind of focus and zoom in a little bit. There you go. So there's our mixer, and there's the Obey 40. It's a Chauvet Obey 40, and that's our lighting, our DMX controller, and then the audio there, and then you see the amber light there. That's our limiter, and yeah, that's about it. So there you go. That's sort of how things are sort of set up here, and how the donuts are made, if you will. Everything goes into the computer. OBS puts it all together in various different ways, and from there I do movie magic, and I design overlays and things of that nature, and put it all together. And yeah, and I just saw the Sound of Music live, so or I did the sing-along Sound of Music at the Hollywood Bowl. So just saying. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, this is the product of 5 years of doing this. I come from a film background, but I was always self-taught in terms of film. There are other folks that have had a lot of set experience and stuff like that. I was pretty much self-taught. I produced my own stuff. I would hire people out and everything, but this was sort of what we did. I would just think, okay, what do we need? What do I have to put together to make this work? Oh my gosh, Shimmickson, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. What, we're just 150 away from me reenacting. Okay, 125 away from me reenacting The Sound of Music. Well, this Q&A went completely down the drain. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. What was I talking about? Anyway, yeah, this is all through 5 years of figuring out what things were needed, and what we wanted to do and what we wanted to accomplish. And we're constantly trying and upping our game. And I'm like, oh man, I'll like walk through Target and I'll see something and I'll be like, oh, that would be the perfect thing for this or that or whatever. And I try and bring it in. Usually I'm trying to bring in new technology and stuff, things that will make it easier, more productive, more interesting to watch. Like that. So we're at a point now where I'm fairly comfortable with what we've got laid out, but there are definitely ways that it can be better. Let me make sure I'm finishing your question. All right, DJ Who. I mean, most of the shows you asked if it differs from show to show. It does differ a little bit from show to show, but primarily this is how it operates. And then how do I get volunteers or talent for streaming? That's a much bigger question. When we started, it was just Tyler and I, and then we had the cast, and we had done our Pathfinder videos, our How to Play Pathfinder with Ivan and Amy and Ben. And then we decided we thought we could do some streaming because we weren't really sure there was much going on in the streaming world for this stuff. And so we started doing that. And Tyler and I would do most of the work. We were setting things up and all of that. And once we were able to kind of get that going, people started going, oh, I want to be involved. I want to start doing things. And so we started kind of building up a list of people that were interested in helping out. But we didn't have time to do everything. So we had to get a studio if we wanted to expand at all. And so that's when we got our studio in Hollywood. And once we had a defined place that we could set everything up and not have to tear it down every day, then we realized we could do more shows. And that's when we started bringing more people in. And that's when like Gaurav and Jordan and Megan and other Jordan, I'm not saying which is which, came in, and most everyone you see now on the channel came in during those days. And we were able to expand our repertoire so much, and not just our repertoire, but our repertory. I consider all of the players to be sort of like a theater troupe, and I consider the channel much like a theater, and it operates very similarly to like a community theater. And so a lot of people will come in and will offer to help out and stuff, and so that's generally what where people come from, and then from there it's like, who do you know? And someone will come to me and be like, hey, I have this friend, they really want to do X, Y, whatever. And then we'll try them out, and we'll play around with that. Hold on to your questions. I'm going through the questions that were submitted, and then once I get through all of those questions, I will get to you, Cymath and others. Yes. Yeah, you've got it, Civil Savage. Yes, the illustrious 10 by 10 foot closet that we were in Hollywood. Yeah, Jordan came from Sean, he was a recommendation from Sean, and quite a good one. And I'm happy for a lot of that. Okay, next question. This is Simi David 95. Hey, nice to see you. I know you're in chat. I'm rather new, but browsing your YouTube channel, I've noticed there's a good mix of one-shots, miniseries like Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and long-form RPG series like Wildcards. So my question is, when developing a show, how do you decide between leaving it as a one-shot miniseries and turning it into a full series? Well, Ghosts of Saltmarsh was turned into a full series. That's Pirates of Salt Bay now. But our process generally is, if someone comes to me with an idea and they have not done anything on the channel before, then we do one-shots. If they've done something with the channel but never something long form, if they've only done one-shots, then we do a longer miniseries, like 3 to 4 episodes. If that goes well and audience responds well and stuff, then we will consider doing a full season. The thing is that it costs us money, obviously, to keep the studio open. And so we are constantly trying to work on our programming to be both content that we enjoy, that we would want to watch, and content that is also, for lack of a better term, profitable, to keep the lights on, essentially. So we're looking at a number of things, and what we want to have is shows that are always doing a lot for the channel, basically, and we constantly have a lot of shows, and a lot of times it's just things that are out of our control. People are only able to do 3 episodes, so we can't do more than that, or they move away, or we have a full schedule, so we can't do more than three episodes. It's it's just a filler piece or something like that. But we try to do as much as we can. But honestly, this is my job, and we want to be able to have it be workable for who we have. And we found that sort of consolidating things, and I think we've found a good schedule of shows right now that we feel very happy with. I love the casts, and they're solid shows, and so we'll see if we can keep them going. But there are metrics that we kind of have to look at, because this is a business. I hate to destroy any thoughts that we're just friends that are gathering. It was that way in Barkey's Brigade back when we were gathering in a garage, but now we have rent that we have to pay and things like that, and it's become more than a hobby for me. This is sort of my career, and I love it. I mean, this is bar none the best job I've ever had, but I also have to keep those things in mind, and look at how those things are being affected, and so this is a big thing. This is a big thing for me. So I hope that answers that question, See Me David. Moving on. Yeah, DJ Who, here's your next question. How did you decide Twitch was a good platform? I don't know the second. By anyone who streams? I don't know that. When we started, like I said, we did our Pathfinder tutorial series, and we were looking out on a lot of things. We were looking at people who were streaming sort of already. We were looking at people who were streaming RPGs and stuff like that already. And thank you very much. Thanks RPG Clyde. Thank you. 6 months. Woo! That's awesome. That's great. Sorry. I was looking at text. We were looking at people who were streaming RPGs already, and there were not many. The biggest person who was streaming was JP, and this was 5 years ago. This is before Critical Role. This is before Geek and Sundry had really started streaming anything. So we saw Tabletop, and we saw JP. And Tabletop was sort of our inspiration for what we wanted to show, and JP was our inspiration for the kind of game we wanted to run. And so that's sort of what we were looking at. And Twitch was either Twitch or YouTube. Those were basically our two options, and YouTube was very new to streaming. In that regard, they had almost no tools to help with streaming. That you could do it, and Google had some tools, but it was not pretty. So Twitch was really the only sophisticated answer that we had open to us for streaming. So that's why we went to Twitch. We were one of the first live around a table streams to come out there, which was fun to be a part of that process. See Me David, what does your con schedule look like for the rest of the year into the new year? I will be at PAX Unplugged. The Wildcards crew, everybody except for Gaurav, is going to be at Tombstone for the Doomtown event, which Pinebox Entertainment is putting together. We'll be running a game. We'll be running a Deadlands game. There's going to be a lot of people playing Doomtown, the card game, and we'll be running around doing touristy things and stuff like that. So I do hope that if you are interested in the Arizona area, come on down to Tombstone. And then I'm doing the Pacific Media Expo, which is in Pasadena, California. We're actually sponsoring a game room. So if you want to play games, I'll be running Savage DuckTales. Megan is going to be running her Mysterium RPG, which is based in Savage Worlds. Stephen Pope is going to be running a game, and Masks, I believe he's going to be running. And Kyle Capps will be running a D&D homebrew adventure. We'll also have a panel at that con, which is basically tabletop RPGs for newbies, because it's not really a tabletop convention, but there's a lot of people I think that might be interested in that. Yeah, you might have played Masks once, Jordan. I don't know. But that's down here in Pasadena, and that's November 9th and 10th. And the sign-up sheets are going to go live, I believe, tomorrow. So find Pacific Media Expo, and if you want to get in on that game or on any of those games, sign up. And then I'll be at PAX Unplugged at the beginning of December. And I will be running a panel there on Sunday at 4, I believe, called Streaming RPGs, Players, and GMs with Eric Reichert and Havana Mahoney. And we're going to be talking about kind of what different things you need to think about as a streaming RPG player or game master. What is different in that realm. And so that's going to be at PAX Unplugged. And I'm also going to be running a Savage DuckTales game at PAX Unplugged on Saturday night, Savage Saturday Nights. So if you're around, come to PAX Unplugged and sign up for my game. It'll be fun. Let's see here. Sergeant Awesome, how you doing? Is there a chance for a Legend of the Five Rings actual play campaign on Saving Throw? There's always a chance. So far, no one, the thing with games and what games we decide, I think that was another question. What games we decide to play and stuff. It's what games do people come to us wanting to play and wanting to run? Because, our GMs aren't savants and they can't run everything. And it's finding the games that people really get passionate about. Like Jordan Caves Callerman is super passionate about Savage Worlds, and he's an extremely competent GM and can run just about anything, but Savage Worlds is where his passion lies. And so if I go to him and say, hey, can you run a Legend of the Five Rings campaign? Like, it doesn't work that way. Someone has to come to me and say, I want to run a Legend of the Five Rings campaign. So maybe if someone came, I know, Megan, can you believe it? Which are you looking for, Symphoria? What info do you need? But yeah, it's we have a stable of GMs, and if there was someone that came to me new that we hadn't worked with before and was like, I really want to run a Legend of the Five Rings campaign, we'd probably do a one-shot and see how it worked, see how it went off. And then if that went well, we would expand it to a mini-series. And if that went well, then we would expand it to a full-length show. But that's sort of how that goes. Hey, Seventh Porter. The PAX U game stuff. I don't think PAX U has released any information about signups or anything like that yet. I will let you know as soon as that stuff gets announced. I think we're still setting up the Savage Saturday Nights. I believe the Delaware Savages are coordinating that event. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'll definitely be posting information about it. So if you're going to PAX U, you've already done the first step. It will be Saturday night, probably 6 o'clock. I believe 6 to 10. But I don't know where. I don't know how to get signed up or anything like that yet. But soon, shortly, I will know. No worries. Thank you for asking. Okay, next question. Evil Dice Monkey says, do you do this full time? Yes. What is your favorite show that has been on Saving Throw Show? I can't pick one of my children wildcards. What show has been the best for this channel, however you define best? That's a much more difficult question because each show, in terms of what I define best as, is a show that helps Saving Throw, the channel, achieve its mission. And our mission is to have a fun atmosphere, to show what role-playing games can be with an ideal tabletop gaming group. The inclusivity that we try to strive for, showing that off, and a number of other things. And shows that are able to amplify that and showcase it, in my mind, are successes. From there, though, obviously I have to look at certain metrics and stuff. What shows bring in audiences? What shows generate social media interest? And what shows generate income? People who are actually tipping because they're excited to see or they like the content. Ultimately, we'd love to get to the point where we don't have to have tiers or anything. People are just tipping or subbing or whatever just because they like the stuff that we do. But for now, we found a way that works using the tier structure. But, you know, a lot of different shows that we have been successful in a number of different ways. And the shows that we have right now that we've sort of landed on with our current lineup, which are Tempting Fate, New Pantheon, which split Sundays, and then The Broken Pact, which is on the D&D channel, and Pirates of Salt Bay, and Wildcards, and then the upcoming Eberron show, which will also be on the D&D show. So that's sort of our static our static lineup of shows. And those are the shows that I feel show off the channel in the best way. They're all very different shows. They all have a very different way, game mechanic, if you will, of how they're played. The tables are very different, but that's what I wanted to show off with Saving Throws, that there's not any one way to play a game. There's a bunch of different ways to play the game, and each game is going to be different. And so those shows and those game masters have consistently proven that they're able to show that. And so those are the ones that we are currently getting behind. Yes, quote does still work. And what a quote to find. Yeah, Dom time. You know, Dom time is crazy. I love and hate Dom time. It's fun playing that game with viewers. But you know, it's maddening. Tempting Fate is the only game that we could potentially ever do Dom time in, because it's a game that's much more free-flowing than our other games. And you can be goofy and all these things. If I tried to do a Dom time in Wildcards, I mean, that would be bonkers. There's no way. Eberron is unique in that it is pre-taped, yes. So there you go, Evil Dice Monkey. I hope that answered your question. We're halfway through these questions anyway. See Me David says, has there been an RPG system that you'd like to run on the channel but doesn't translate well to being streamed? Shadowrun. Shadowrun, we've tried to run it several times. It is not a system that streams well. The crunchier the system, the harder they are to stream. That's my honest opinion. That certainly doesn't hold true for everyone, but there are other people that have streamed other channels. But if you look at the shows that are popular on other channels, they're relatively rules light or easierly. They're more easily run games. Shadowrun is super heavy. I love the lore. It's such a great storyline. There's so much to like about it. The system is just crunchy as all hell, and trying to, when you get a group of players around a table and they're dressed up and they're ready to go and they're doing this, and then you're like, roll that, and then they're like, okay, here's this, and then suddenly everything slows down. So games that are mechanically heavy tend to not stream very well unless that's your point. If your point is to show that off, then yeah, you can probably make that work. But yes, we would lose money buying the dice that we would need for that. I would love to see us play Interface Zero at some point, which is the Savage Worlds cyberpunk setting. There are other ways to do cyberpunk and indeed Shadowrun, but part of my thing is when we very first started Barky's Brigade and we were looking, actually after we did the Pathfinder tutorials, we were asking people what game system they wanted us to teach from there. And Shadowrun was by far the biggest request. And we tried. We really tried. Tyler put together, it's on our YouTube, Tyler put together a very good annotated Shadowrun game. And we tried to go through episodes and show off rules and things like that, but man, it did not. And whether that was our fault or the game's fault, I don't know. Who's to say? But in our mind, the game really prevented us from getting deep into that. But yeah, Hoy Chummer, if you can find it, it's on our YouTube channel, Hoy Chummer. It was a lot of fun. Tyler did a phenomenal job with that, and it was a really fun group of players and a fun storyline. But the system, I feel like, just sort of tripped over itself when you're trying to play for an audience. Shadowrun on its own, if you're playing at home or whatever, is great. Also, it's still very crunchy and very hard to pick up. But for a streamed game, very difficult to do. So I would love to do a cyberpunk game. I would love to do a supers game. And we haven't had a chance to do. We did Masks, which Stephen Pope ran back at the old studio, and Jordan is in that, Jordan Pridgeon, and Poisel's game went okay. Poisel's very, very heavily steeped in the Shadowrun lore, and they were able to condense it down in a way that it was easier for a lot of people to get, and they would skim over a lot of the mechanics to get to the story. We had talked about it before about the problems that we'd had, and we were trying to mitigate that, but it didn't quite pick up. People were not watching it the way that we wanted to and contributing, so we weren't able to keep that up. Watching people do math gets tedious. Yes, the systems that stream well tend to be the one that the rules lend themselves to quicker resolution, sensational outcomes. Very well put, Scruffy. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, watching people do math. Fogcod will tell you, don't watch me do math. Okay, Bondo. How you doing, Bondo? What part of your job has been the most rewarding over the past year? Honestly, seeing it grow. Just being able to be part of something that is capturing people's imagination and attention, seeing people do fan art, being invited to go to conventions, things that just sort of validate what I've been working towards and what the team has been putting on with the shows, and just getting people excited to watch and tune in. Thank you very much for the bits, SF Giants 49er. That's, to me, that's constantly gratifying to see people just come together like that. And every year, it's funny. I feel like it's been a very slow roll. I mean, we've been going for 5 years now, and longer than a lot of other channels have been out. And our growth has been very steady, but very slow. And I don't know why that is. Honestly, you could look at the numbers all day and never know. But we don't cow to other trends and stuff to raise our numbers. That just has never really been our thing. We'll do that for like fundraisers and stuff, but we try not to do that with our games. We try to keep our games, as pure as possible. And I don't know if that's part of it or what, but we kind of don't play the Twitch game so much, and so I think it's kept us slowly moving upwards. But this year has been really astounding. We've made a lot of connections. Seventh Porter, welcome back. 5 months. Thank you for resubscribing. And it's been rewarding to see the growth this year, and see the things that have come through. Lady Imago, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, just a voodoo that you do so well. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Once again, if we hit $1,000, I will reenact the Sound of Music. Moving on. I hope that answered your question. Bondo, let me know. DJ Phoenix asks, what new games would you like to see about doing at least a limited run on the channel? Like I said, a Supers game would be great. A Cyberpunk game that's not Shadowrun would be great. Those are two systems that are settings that we just really haven't explored a whole lot recently. Like I said, we did do Masks. We did Shadows of the Mirror Men with Michael Holmes, which was a lot of fun, and that was a mini series. But we haven't done a whole lot, and I love those settings. So I'd love to see more of those. Blades in the Dark would be fun. I would love to do. I'm still working out how to make this a thing, but I would love to do a spy show that just has one player, and the other 3 players are essentially NPCs, and one player is essentially your James Bond type or Jane Bond, whichever, and everyone else is, a Moneypenny, an M, a Blofeld, or something that kind of come in and are you're able to sort of game in a sort of flexible player format, and you have one person that you can just really try and have these scenes with. It really would take a GM that's very good at building a world and getting that basically taking on the rest of the show essentially. That's an idea that fascinates me, but I don't know how viable it is. LA born, Texas raised. There's no way I would never be able to get Jordan to do Interface Zero, but maybe someday we'll play it. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, every show is now going to be Manadorks. Sorry. Here's the kicker: no Jordan Pridgeon though. Yeah, go figure. I opened the first box, and these are Avernus, and check this out. It's Zerial. Look at that. That's pretty badass. The wings are translucent. Got a big old hammer. That's awesome. That's a great mini. Let's see what else we got. These come with so much. Yunogu's Quasit, tiny. can barely see it. This is compared to Zariel. Yeah, great, cool. Couple more in here. Legion Spined Devil. It's got a little shield and stuff. That's cool. Is it missing anything? No. Very cool. And last but not least, oh, this one seems intricate. Ah! It's Barnabas, the Flame Skull. Great. If you guys have not been watching The Broken Pact, Monday nights at 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/DND, start tuning in, because a lot of these minis will be seeing the light of day on that show. Yeah, Symphoria. Yeah, I meant I was going to be answering questions while I opened boxes, and then I just started, answering questions without actually opening the boxes. So, let's see. Next question. I only got a couple more. Naughty It says, any events planned for PAX Unplugged? Indeed. Yes, I will be running Savage DuckTales Saturday night around 6 o'clock on Savage Saturday Night. More details to come. And then on Sunday, I think around 4 o'clock, more details to come on that. I will be running a panel called Streaming RPGs for Players and GMs. So I hope you can come. If you went to Gen Con and you went to Megan and Jordan's panel, it's going to be covering kind of the same stuff or similar things. And Eric and Havana are going to be joining me for that panel, actually. So should be a lot of fun. Savage Riggs asks, what is your vision for the ideal state of the Saving Throw show? What would you need in concrete terms in order to achieve that ideal state? Money. I hate being so crass about it, but that's really what it boils down to. If we had the budget that other channels had, we could be doing a whole lot more. I'd love to be doing more programming during the day, but all of us, well, not me, this is my job, but a lot of us have day jobs, and we simply can't cast people and ask them to give up a day job, very lucrative day job, for a essentially almost non-paying player role. As fun as it may sound, it's very difficult. So my goal over this next year is to get us to a point where we're consistently able to pay people to play our games, and hopefully grow us to a point where we're able to have more programming and more shows and more people working on things. I'll break it down very bluntly for you. This is how. Sorry, I'm opening this box just to get it ready. Ooh, this is cool. Okay. Very bluntly, each show has a target number that we try to hit with it. That basically is what we use internally to go, okay, we are able to pay rent this month. If this show is able to reach, if all of our shows reach this target number, we will be able to pay rent this month, and Dom will be able to eat his rice and beans. So as you can see, we have the goal right below me is $4,000. So that's our target number each month, so that we are able to pay rent, and I'm able to get rice and beans. Now, if we make more than that, we are able to then pay players to partake. And we live in a very competitive town. There are numerous other streaming channels down here, and ones that are much larger than us, and are, some of them are supported very generously by their fans, and also some of them are supported by much larger conglomerates, as it were. I won't name names, but you know who I'm talking about. And that's nothing wrong with them. They're doing everything very well. But when we use people who when we want to bring people in that we know that we want to work with and stuff like that, and there's we need to be matching or coming close or trying to match what the other companies are paying these people. Other companies are able to pay because they are making more money than we are. They have more subscribers. They have whatever. We look like we're able to match the look of most of these other shows, but we are far behind in terms of what we're able to get in terms of subscribers and things like that. And that's not on you. You don't. This is not a hey, start ponying up more. This is just this is what our needs need to be. And the question is, what do we need in order to see success? And it's just we just need to grow, and we need to grow faster than we have been growing. If we're able to do that, then all these shows can be paid shows, and then eventually we can hopefully grow. If we start turning a profit and stuff, we can hopefully grow and be able to support people to pay them enough that they can do a day game and stuff like that, so that people who are in Europe or whatever or on the East Coast are able to tune in and not be like, oh, I can't stay up anymore. Yes, it got to be competitive in the market. Exactly. Yeah, 2 sound stages. That would be awesome. 1 sound stage would be great. This isn't, I call it a studio. It is very much a studio. It is not a sound stage. A sound stage is a very different building and is not what we have. That's why when you are listening, if you were at Pirates of Salt Bay on Tuesday and you heard this eerie singing, it's because our neighbors do music and they were practicing and doing some singing. And so it added a very nice quality to the show, but it's coming through. We're not a sound stage, and we're not able to do that. I will look into the agency, DJ Phoenix. Thanks. Yeah, that's cool. I very much love Evil Hat and all that they do. But yeah, that's sort of where we are. I'd love a bigger space, one that we can build out and be able to do builds and do other shows and other streams and, not have to, when I do Mana Dorks, I basically have to turn everything around and reconvert the whole studio over towards the couch and stuff that you saw earlier in the stream. So yeah, it's not like I have a whole other set of cameras that I can just flip a switch and then use those. All of these cameras have to be moved back over and moved there, and lights have to be set up and stuff like that. So even though we're in a pretty good sized space, we don't need a bigger space. It would be nice to have the accommodations to be able to have 2 different shows up. Or be able to record a show while we're streaming a show would be great, but we don't have the room for that. In terms of numbers, we'd essentially need to be making, hey, double GXG, what's up, Garav? Almost 3 years. We've had a lot of almost 3 years this month. Next month will be our 3rd year partner anniversary, so I hope y'all can tune in November for that. If we could be, the goal is to eventually be making double what we're making now. If we were able to make double what we're making now, we'd be able to pay people, at least be competitive in our market, and we'd be able to upgrade our equipment on a more regular basis and get better equipment in here that we can run things a little bit more smoothly. We still have issues. One of our biggest issues is the internet, and we have business class internet. It is not enterprise class internet. Hyper RPG, Geek and Sundry, they have enterprise class internet, which is, it's light years beyond. We're basically home internet is what we're using. They just call it business class because when we call to complain, we get a person much faster than you would if you were just a home user. That's really the difference that we're paying for. And enterprise class internet is much faster. You can stream a much higher quality stream, and it does not go down as much, if at all, as it does with our stream. I would love to be able to upgrade that, but it's hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars a month. It's a big expense, and one we cannot quite justify at this point. No, despite the fact that our internet goes down quite a lot, can't quite do that. So yeah, you got it, Symphoria. So that would be awesome. Upgrading our internet, things along those lines would be great. But I mean, honestly, I'm very happy with where we are right now in terms of the state of the studio and all of that stuff. I just love to be able to get to a point where we're able to compensate people and be competitive in our market. We're honestly losing out on opportunities of using potential players and stuff like that because we're not able to always afford to pay. And so that's starting to become an issue. We have people wanting to come play with us, but because we can't pay them, they can't come. So that's been a difficult sort of reality for us. If we were in somewhere else, it might not be an issue, but because we're in LA and a lot of these people are working performers, working talent, doing a lot of other things, that becomes a real issue. So yeah, eventually we want to get to that point. Hopefully that answers your question, Savage Riggs. Last official question, then I can take questions from chat. Savage Riggs asks, what are the most challenging and most rewarding or enjoyable aspects of the Saving Throw show experience for you? Most challenging. Budgeting and tech. Honestly, I have been producing for a long time, and budgeting never gets easier. A lot of times because I'm bad with money. Sometimes it's hard to know what's coming in, what's coming out, and we have so many different revenue streams because of Twitch, through subscribers, through bits, through tips, through TeePublic, through YouTube, there's all these different things that are coming in, that it really is it's hard to keep track of all of that stuff and know where things are coming in. So that's a challenging aspect. And like I said before, being able to pay people and stuff that's something that we want to get doing more of. But it's just hard when hey, we just don't have that money coming in. So how are we supposed to do that? The other what's the most enjoyable aspect is honestly going out and meeting a lot of you and talking to you. I love my job. I love getting to sit behind the computer and talk to you during a show and just be able to hear about your day, have you guys just sit down and just enjoy a show. I mean, really what I've been trying to do with Saving Throw is make an experience where you can just sort of sit down, kick your shoes off, grab some popcorn, and watch a 3-hour movie, essentially, and that you can affect and that you are a part of because you are literally in chat. By being in chat alone, you are able to affect things in the game. And that's a big thing for me, a big aspect of this, and being able to be in the chat and watching you react, and then going to a convention and watching you, seeing the shows live with an audience and performing live with an audience is such an amazing feeling and event. And I would love to do more of that. And so I hope that we can do more of that in the next year. And we will. I mean, we'll be going to Chupacabra and Genghis Khan, at least Genghis Khan for sure. Chupacabra, I'm pretty sure. Gen Con, we're definitely going to Gen Con next year. We're looking at maybe going to Origins and maybe some more. But yeah, I love getting out there and seeing people. So that's certainly just that's my jam. That's what I love. Okay, official questions are gone. So now, if you have specific questions, let me know. And meantime, I'm going to finish opening these boxes. Okay, next one. Okay, come on. I don't want to break you. I don't want to break you, but I will. Okay, here we go. Armonite. Whoa, that's badass. That's pretty cool. I wonder if we will see Armonite on the Broken Pact. Maybe. Dragon Con, yeah, you know, I've thought about Dragon Con before. It comes at a weird time of year where we've got a bunch of other cons going on, so it hasn't quite lined up. But hopefully in the future. Legion Imp. That's awesome. Yes, DJ Who. Thank you for your excellent questions. Oh, got another Barnabas. Great. We got 2 Barnabases, just in case one breaks. It's good. Shimmickson, you've talked a lot about monthly income. Are there one-off purchasing items, events that would dramatically improve quality of life? Have you thought about doing some sort of external funding drive, Kickstarter or Indiegogo, like you did with the original funding? Last but not least, he's a little bent, but this is Maragon. Pretty cool. Maragon. You know, we go back and forth about that. Is there anything I can honestly tell you right now, other than internet, there's really nothing that would improve quality of life. I absolutely could update things and change things around ad infinitum. We need to upgrade our computers at some point. They're just getting to that point. They're about 5 years old now, 3 to 5 years old. The cameras are very nice and very cheap, but those could definitely be upgraded. But honestly, we're at a point now where the tech is pretty level and it doesn't have to be updated. And the internet would be a great thing to work on. That would certainly improve my peace of mind, knowing that it's not going to crash at any point. That's honestly, whenever I'm not able to be here and work tech, that's honestly one of my biggest fears, is that the internet's just going to crash and there's nothing we can do about it. That's just really hard. So yeah, doing a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, I don't know. That's really hard. The Kickstarter we did before, it's very difficult to do, and we don't really have anything. Like, there's not a whole lot we can give. There's not a whole lot of product. It's just a show, and so there's a whole lot that we'd have to be asking for. We've talked about it, but I'd much rather do like we've done earlier this year and last year, doing our saving throw specific drives. Saving throw is what we're calling them, and we might have to do one soon. I don't know, but doing those specifically on here, it's much better. It's a much more highly focused. We can do it in one day. It's not a 30-day event where we're just biting our nails and stuff like that. So I'd much rather do one of those than doing a Kickstarter. So we'll see. Let's see. After the senior year of ETU, what Savage setting would you like to see the wildcards tackle next? I would love to do a Supers campaign. I don't make those decisions though. So I'm going to be happy with whatever Jordan runs. Honestly, he's one of the best ever. I'm happy to play at his table anytime. And so whatever he chooses to run, I will be absolutely. We've talked about running Supers before, but I don't know if we have it in us to do a full campaign of Supers, but maybe a short campaign. Average white guy on Twitter. Oh, hey. Any idea what's going on with the Wildcards podcast feed? At some point, I expect Boeing to get upset I'm streaming YouTube all day. What's wrong with the podcast feed? It should be up. It should be working. Everything's up. If you you might need to resubscribe. We had to switch providers, and that was transferring for a bit, but now might have switched off depending on which service you're using to listen through. I haven't gotten it to every single tiny little service that everyone's using, but most of all, it is out everywhere. So yeah. Would you like to have on a show that you haven't got? Who would you like to have on a show that you haven't gotten a chance to work with yet? I mean, we've been trying to get Matt Mercer on back when we were doing Deadlands, and we knew he was a big Deadlands fan, and we kept talking, but we could never get it worked out. Friday nights, people tend to want to do stuff on Friday nights. They don't want to be in an RPG for 4 hours. But I think he'd be a lot of fun. Brandon Routh, a.k.a. Superman, a.k.a. The Atom from Legends of Tomorrow. He, I think, would be a blast to play with. Kristen Bell, Dax Shepard, I'd love to have them on. These are just celebrities that I'd love to have on. But they play games and stuff. I think they'd be a blast. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of people that would be great. So yeah, almost anybody. Yep. Oh, chat pause due to scroll. Okay. Savage. Yeah, I would also love to do Necessary Evil. We'll see, maybe. Yeah, we actually we did have Sam on in the studio, actually. That you can view that on YouTube, not on our YouTube, but Scratchpad Publishing, the folks behind Dusk City Outlaws, we did the very first for their Kickstarter. We did a run of that, and that was Sixler, the GM of why am I blanking? Dan Harmon's Harmon Quest. He was on. Sam Witwer, Elisa Teague, and Tom Lommel were the players, and so it was very cool having them all in. They were great. Peter Stormare, yeah, that'd be crazy. That was back in our old studio. Someone else, was it DJ Phoenix? Did you have a question? I feel like you had a question earlier that I had to skip over. Deborah Ann Wool would be great. Yeah. Matthew Lillard. Mm-hmm. Neil Gaiman. Yeah, that would be amazing. And Amanda Palmer. Fantastic. David Tennant? Nah. Oh, answer your question. Great. Fantastic. Happy to answer. You know, what you might not know is that behind me, where that shield usually is, the shield has two things in it. Do you know what those two things are? First person with the correct answer of what the two items are behind the shield, behind our GMs, gets a arena game code. Magic the Gathering arena game code. Shimmickson got it. Sword and pencil. Shimmickson, whisper me and I will get you a game code after the show. It's a sword and a pencil, and this is the pencil. Yeah, it's a real pencil, and it really writes and it really erases. It is literally just a giant pencil. No, I won't let Sam near this pencil. So they cannot break it. It's something like a quarterstaff. Yeah, it is. This would do some damage. Absolutely. Oh, this is not a don't dead open inside. This is clearly saving throw let's dungeon. Yeah, that would be yes, an irresistible challenge. Yes, if they knew how to get it off the wall, then there might be trouble, but they don't yet. Are there any questions I have for chat? I don't know. I mean, here's the funny thing is we go back and forth about what do people like, what are people watching, what is interesting to people, what do they want to see, and things like that. And when we go out and we do like questionnaires and surveys and stuff, we'll get a reasonable response. But like I said earlier with the Shadowrun stuff, we will hear things and then change everything to make those things happen for people, and then not get like the response is not anywhere what we were expecting. Like if we do exactly what you want to see, there has not been evidence yet that it will necessarily turn into more views or more tips or anything like that. It's primarily for the one person that wants to see that. So I generally try not to ask people. What you try and do is we want to do shows that you want to watch, but there are also shows that we want to watch and that we're interested in and that we want to be in. So for us, it's much more important that we're doing shows that are passionate for us. And we hope that you will also be passionate about those shows. But even saying that, I am very curious as to, what you all feel. Thank you very much, See Me David. Thank you. Very much appreciate it. But I am curious as to, what brought you into the channel? Where did you start watching us? Where did you first start hearing about us? I'm always curious about that because that lets me know, that gives me some concrete information of, how you're finding out about us and whether we can do better to try and get ourselves out there. That's honestly what would help me out. So yeah, let me know. Is the audio out of sync? If the audio is out of sync, let me know. I can fix that probably. It's hard for me to tell, obviously, because I'm not listening to it. I can see me. I might be a little out of sync. Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly's interview had a good answer related to that. If it's something that only one of you is excited about, maybe not. But if it's something that you and someone else are excited about, then you've got a good idea. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's off by 3 frames. I don't know. I can try and fix it, but honestly, if it's only 3 frames, I'm not going to worry about it. DJ Who, I think I came for the initial Tempting Fate Inception, but I stayed to watch some of the other shows and found stuff I liked. Very cool. Yes, Tempting Fate has been very good at bringing new people into the channel. Saw Sam tweet about Tempting Fate and followed their advice. Thank you very much. Thank you to Sam. Let's see. Yes. Thank you, Zarfin. You were looking for Starfinder references, and you started watching Wildcards from there. That's great. DJ Who saw Amy Vorpahl on YouTube stuff. Cool. Yeah, our we have some videos on YouTube that are closing in on 1 million views. Are how would what how would RPG characters act in real? I can't even remember the title. I was just looking at it today. It's somewhere around 860,000 views, which is insane. Ooh, Reddit recommendation. You see, Reddit is a place that we've tried to break into to get to get viewers and stuff. I mean, I'm a Redditor all the time. I'm always on there, but as you know, Reddit is such a weird sort of mishmash of personalities and rules that it's hard to like break in and let people know that you're out there and are doing stuff. Some people like to hear about it. Some people don't. They have to be very specific. RJ, you followed Vanna here from Firelaced from Gen Con. That's awesome. Smokebeard followed Sam for Tempting Fate. Be Right UK. Just so you know, you followed Sam from Geek and Sundry. Sam uses they them pronouns, so just so you know. Yes, Savage Scott. Yes, you interviewed. That was one of the first interviews, I think, before our Kickstarter, or maybe right after our Kickstarter. You interviewed me and Ivan. I remember. Ah, yes, the Doctor Who TBD RPG. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Naughty just wandered in. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, the Deadlands game for wildcards, that was quite quite a game. Oh, Lizard Breath, that's awesome. You saw JCC running Roll for Shoes on Geek and Sundry and thought he was one of the best GMs you had ever seen. I also think he's one of the just best GMs I've ever seen. We have some damn good GMs on this channel. I mean, really, like I am amazed at the level that our GMs are at. Yeah, find me at a con. We can go into it a little bit more, but I really, you guys don't realize, maybe you do realize, but how much work the GMs, if you GM, you know how much work a GM does, but GMing a stream show is so much more different. There's so many more things that you have to think about, especially on our channel, because we have the tiers and stuff like that we do, and the GMs are having to think about those things and build that and build it into their system and know that they can be going down a path and have a very almost scripted idea of what they want the story to do. And just like at any other game table, the players will, you know, muck it up basically. But now you're on camera and you can't just go like, oh, okay, you know, and start railroading and stuff like that, because that just doesn't play and it's not fun. And so our GMs are constantly working with that fluctuation to make a game that is evocative and fun, and not just one that you play around a table, but also entertainment for other people, an audience to relate to and watch. And that takes another level. I mean, seriously, our GMs, bar none, the best in the business. Yeah, disorganized play. We've talked about, JCC and I have talked about potentially doing another sort of version of disorganized play. It's just a matter of scheduling and stuff. We both have a lot going on, and it's hard to do that. Same with Tom. It just got to a point where, you know, we're busy and we can't do it anymore. But Disorganized Play was one of my favorite shows because it kind of, you know, pulled back that exterior so you could see the processes. And I really wanted to do more and get into that more with the shows that we had on the channel at the time. But it's just a time sink. How do you manage to come up with ideas when we get into Dom time? This is from Be Right UK. So for Tempting Fate, you know, I know what we're playing. I know what the setting is going to be. So I'm already percolating ideas of that. And Rick and I will sometimes talk and sort of, we'll go back and forth and go like, well, would this be neat? Would this be neat? Yeah. And I learn from the players what their characters are. And so I kind of get an idea of, okay, well, this might be interesting for that. But primarily, it's what you say in chat, and it's what they say at the table. So a lot of times, here's the secret, when someone at the table is like, oh, if only we had jetpacks. Okay, you can have jetpacks, but they're going to be $400. You know, that's sort of where Dom time stuff comes in. And it's fun because that way the chat can interact and just be like, here, we're helping. You know, we are able to do this. And sometimes we just have beautiful moments where where it's just me and chat telling a story through tears, which is amazing. And I love doing that sort of thing. And Tempting Fate is the only opportunity that I have to do that, which is great. Next time JCC reads off my name for a sub, it's Louisiana, not Los Angeles, which makes sense because you've got Texas in there. So it's not Los Angeles. It's another state. It's Louisiana. Oh, thank you, Lady Imago. Wildcards alone has been better than any soap opera I've ever watched. Thank you. Bitten nails off. Ugh. But I get you. Kung Fu Fat Boy came from a Twitch recommendation after Geek and Sundry. Okay, that's awesome. Glad that the Twitch recommendation tool is working the way that it should. You know, it's interesting. Here's another thing that I run into. So Twitch has these categories, and we stream either under Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop RPGs. And there are some other more specific ones like Pathfinder and Starfinder, but primarily we're streaming under that. Now, what I've been a big proponent of is for everyone to be streaming under the category that they're playing. If you're not playing Dungeons and Dragons, it does not make sense to be streaming under Dungeons and Dragons. The only reason to do that is because you don't want to lose, because the audience, there's a much larger audience watching the Dungeons and Dragons category than are watching tabletop RPGs. So if you're not playing D&D and you're streaming on the D&D category, under the D&D category, all you're wanting to do is get those viewers. And to me, it would be much better to be streaming on the tabletop RPGs category or a more specific category to what you are playing, because then those viewers will come over to that category and help out all the other people that are streaming the other things. If you're not streaming D&D, it's very confusing, I feel like, for people to come into to the D&D channel and then go, this is not like any game I've ever played or recognized. And then you're having to explain, well, guess what? Not every RPG is D&D, and you have to go through this whole thing. And it's such a pet peeve of mine. So far, the fires are not affecting me down here, other than the fact that I can smell them. They are close to some friends of mine, though, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that it won't cross some of those lines. But yeah, it sucks. It's hitting people that were just hit not that long ago. So it's The fires are a big deal. Can you do multi-category? No, you can't. There's one category that you can stream under, and then there are tags that you can add underneath. So you can do multi-category, but it breaks your TOS. Unless you have a special dispensation from Twitch to be able to stream multiple streams out, which would mean you'd need multiple Twitch handles and all of that stuff. You cannot stream multi-category. Oh, thank you, Jimmy Buffett. Well. If it isn't my old friend Jimmy Buffett, thank you so much. Yeah, before the tabletop RPGs was a category, everything was under D&D. And so everything was streamed under D&D regardless. And it just so many questions and stuff. When they finally opened it up, then it was D&D and tabletop RPGs. And everyone was like, well, all of my audience is looking for stuff under D&D. Why move over to tabletop RPGs? Well, you have to move over to tabletop RPGs. Otherwise, it will never grow as a category. And so it just irks me so much when people are not doing that, when they're not moving over there. And it's clear because a lot of channels will stream on D&D and they're not playing D&D, but they'll stream on D&D. And the minute they're done streaming, they'll switch over their category to tabletop RPGs and run reruns or whatever else. They know that the audience is there watching D&D and they're not over on tabletop RPGs. And it's like, if you got a show that you think you can bring an audience to, they'll watch. They will come over to tabletop RPGs. Ugh. Blue Rose and Hearts of Woolen for fantasy RPGs. Yeah, that would be cool. Streamers just need to band together. Yes, I've tried. It's not easy. Yeah, this is a rare moment where I get visibly frustrated with the Twitch setup. I mentioned this too in my panels where I go, please stream under the game you're actually playing. And it's hard. I totally get it. When we were doing Deepwater Deep, and we were streaming under the Starfinder category. No one is in the Starfinder category. It's a very small category. There aren't people watching. We would have had much bigger numbers if we streamed it under a tabletop RPGs category. But the whole point is that people, if you want to watch Starfinder, go to the category that is Starfinder. That way, that's the only way that category is going to grow, and that's the only way you can build up a usable search engine, is if people are streaming under the category that they're actually playing. Otherwise, you sow confusion into people, and especially new people. We have so many new people coming into the hobby and wanting to learn how to play RPGs, and D&D is the first thing they hear about. And okay, you go and you watch a channel and maybe you like the game, but you get this sort of confusion in your mind that I was watching D&D, but wait, no, it's not. It was called something else. And then you kind of, it just kind of makes this, I don't know, it's crazy. It would be great is if there was only a tabletop RPGs category, and then all of the other games, D&D, Pathfinder, Savage Worlds, were tags underneath that. And so everything was under tabletop RPGs, and then you just tagged it with the system that you were playing. That would be ideal for me, but I don't have that kind of pull. Has a channel done Twitch front page rotation before? Yes, we have. It has become much more difficult to get front paged. Back when we had a partner manager, we were able to get front paged relatively consistently if we asked. It doesn't just come out with it. But recently, they have taken away partner managers for a lot of streamers. and we are one of them. And so now we have to go through this kind of ridiculous process, going through the help desk to ask for things that we should be getting as partners. There you go. There is no cost to front page. You simply have to ask, but if they have already too many channels that they are front paging, then they have to have a spot open for you to do it. The thing is that we haven't really seen a benefit to front paging. Front paging, you get a huge increase in views for one day. And then we've been front paged a lot, and we don't see, like, that doesn't permanently raise our views through the rest of eternity. Basically, it goes like this, and we get a big jump, and then it goes back to where it was. It doesn't go up and then go a little bit higher. And so we haven't seen a huge benefit to front paging. The benefit to front paging is if you're front paged a lot. If you're front paged week after week after week, then the bulk of the Twitch audience sees you more often, and then you start getting, they start syncing up with them, and they realize, oh, this is the thing that's got, you know, some pull behind it. But yeah, front paging, just randomly when we do charity streams and sometimes for premieres and stuff like that, it hasn't meant more numbers in the long run. And a lot of them don't understand our donation structure, our tip structure. So it doesn't mean that we make, you know, thousands of dollars that night because everyone's just, you know, giving money or whatever. It's just purely a view bump, but not a follower bump. A very small follower bump, yes, but not like a subscriber bump or anything like that. It's just a bunch of more people watching your stuff, and hopefully you'll retain a few of them. But we have not seen a giant bump that way. Yeah, we've done special one-offs. We've done season premieres. We've done season finales. We've done fundraisers. We've front paged just about everything. We did have a regular front page once for Ironkeep Chronicles, where we had a weekly front page essentially for about a month. And the minute the front page, we were done with our month of being front page, we went right back to our regular numbers again. So yeah, front paging, it's tough. Thesaurus Han, thank you very much for the subscription. Thank you. The full year you've been subscribing to us. I very much appreciate it. That's amazing. Thank you. Yes, if you're streaming something that's already popular that people want to watch, it works. Streaming RPGs is a whole other, you know, you can look at Fortnite and whatever things that are popular right now that that the Twitch audience wants to watch a lot of. And RPGs are very hard because you're giving up 3 to 4 hours of your time for something that you have to be very focused on. You can have it on in the background, but you kind of have to be paying attention to it. It's not something that you can just sort of walk away from and then come back to it, you know, sort of a monotonous, speaking, you know, and it's not sort of that one-on-one kind of thing. It's a very different mode, and Twitch is not necessarily the best for that. I'm in for life. Thank you very much for the resub, 10 months. Very much appreciate it. But yeah, that's you know. Honestly, Twitch is not the best format for this type of stuff. And a lot of times people are like, well, I have the one show that I watch, and the other shows I catch when I can, you know? And for me, that makes 100% complete sense. You know, you're devoting a lot of time to one show. It's very hard to devote 3 to 4 hours for multiple shows every week. And I get that. And so we're lucky to have the people that have devoted their time to watching us, especially watching us live. Like, it means so much to us. But yeah, it's a lot to ask. If you're just watching a streamer playing a game or something, a video game or whatever, like it's a little bit easier to come in and come out of it and, go do your chores, do laundry, whatever, come back, see, okay, they made it to this level or whatever. If you walk away from a streamed RPG game, you're completely lost. You might as well just come back to the VOD. Or you can try and ask a mod or someone to catch you up, but it's difficult. Yeah, $75 to me doing The Sound of Music. King Mayhem, you've been here since week 1. Damn, week 1? So you remember, what were we doing week 1? Answer me that. That's the trivia question. What was the first thing we ever streamed? I was but a mere boy, a mere lad in week 1. Yeah. First episode, the first thing we ever streamed was not in the garage. Yes, if we reach $1,000 tonight, Escape Box Games. Hey, how's it going? 14 months. Thank you very much. An extra credit to the Table Monster. You got it. You didn't pay attention, King Mayhem. I'm just kidding. Thank you very much for watching us. From the very beginning. The very first thing we streamed was actually a test stream. Mason ran, and it had Ivan Van Norman and Amy Vorpahl, and our friend Adam Murray was in it, and a couple other people. And we're playing D&D around in Mason's apartment, actually. We were just seeing how things were working. And we tested out. It is, I believe, the very first highlighted video that we have on this channel. So if you want to go back to way back to when we were first learning about things, and God knows what microphones were, and stuff of that nature, you can check it out. Everything before Dark Sun Season 2. Why would you say that, Jordan Pridgeon? Yeah, I get it. And that's Be Right UK. I get it. For a lot of our viewers, interestingly enough, a lot of our viewers are not on the West Coast, and they are on the East Coast. We have several that are in Europe, and or in Canada, and not lining up with our time zone. And so, we would love to shift things earlier. We'd love to do more daytime programming and stuff to better line up with other people's schedules. But yeah, basically we're in LA. Everyone getting anywhere takes an hour, and getting out of work and then dinner and all that stuff, and then we're back to where we are. Thank you, DJ Who. It means a lot. Thesaurus Hun, thank you for the $10. That means a lot. I am going to be wrapping it up soon because I want to kick it over to our friends at Dragons and Things, the DAT Network. While we're off with Wildcards, I want to send them the love. They are awesome. They're very cool people. They are also here in LA, doing it well. And as the great LL Cool J would say, doing it well. But I love you guys. You've been amazing. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I love talking to you. If you enjoyed this and liked it, be Duluth. Thank you very much for the $50. I think that means it's a live Sound of Music now. And thank you, Kung Fu Fatboy, for gifting those subs. Horace B, Snoop Dizzle, Sumidian, Grimlost, and Asuka XK. Welcome into the family. You're all super welcome. Hit me up. You can whisper me. As you know, if you sub, before we run it over to them, there's a couple of things I wanted to run. There's some questions that I often get asked. What is better for supporting the channel? Is it Twitch, Patreon, subs, donations, etc.? Do whatever's most comfortable for you. Just watching and building our numbers up. If we can have, average 100 people watching our shows or so, that does wonders. That's amazing, because that allows us to go to people like sponsors and stuff and show them what we're capable of bringing in terms of people watching. So that's a very maybe cold way of looking at a viewer. I don't mean it that way, but if you're like, I don't have the money to support you right now, just watching, honestly, it really means a lot to us, and it really helps do it, because it builds conversation. It builds, people can talk on our Discord and they talk with each other. It's amazing. So viewing is the number one way. Oh my gosh, what's happening? Monstrosity Jones, thank you for the 15. That's amazing. Largest Whelp, thank you for the 8-month sub. You guys are fantastic. By subbing, don't forget, at a tier 1 sub or a Twitch Prime sub, you get to give 1 reroll a month to any player of your choice. However, just so you know, Tempting Fate is now, you can give a reroll to the table, or you can give it to the GM. So that's just for Tempting Fate. The other shows currently, they may switch up, but currently you can give it to any player or GM. For a tier 2 sub, you can give 2 rerolls to whoever you want to do it to. And then for tier 3 subs, you can give 4 rerolls out. So you could give one to each player at the table if you wanted to do that. And we greatly appreciate it. In terms of what's better for supporting, whether Twitch subbing or following us on Patreon or whatever's easiest for you, it honestly, they both have pros and cons to them. And I know I'm a Twitch sub in a lot of channels, and I'm also a Patreon backer for a lot of other places. Whatever you feel you might get the most value out of that, or is the easiest for you to manage and manipulate, those are both great. Tips are always welcome, never required. You never have to subscribe to watch our VODs. Our VODs will always be free. They're always posted to our YouTube as well. We will never paywall our VODs. You have my word on that. And I will never do that. So you definitely don't have to sub or anything to watch our things. We may have some things, special things that we release only to subscribers or Patreon backers, but our regular shows will never be behind that wall. So however you feel most comfortable supporting us, please do that. Please use the hashtags for the shows that we use in social media. Again, we have Tempting Fate. They have their own Twitter handle, Tempting Fate RPG. You can also hashtag Tempting Fate RPG. New Pantheon is, I believe it's hashtag New Pantheon. I should have written these down before I started talking about hashtags, but Tempting Fate, New Pantheon, The Broken Pact RPG, hashtag The Broken Pact RPG. That's one of our D&D shows. Salt Bay RPG is for Pirates of Salt Bay, so hashtag Salt Bay RPG, and hashtag Wildcards RPG for our Wildcards show. If you just go to our Twitch or our Twitter page, you'll see the hashtags there when we talk about our stuff. But those are our shows. Those are our stables of shows. Those are part of the Saving Throw family. So please support them in any way that you feel comfortable doing. People ask us if we can go to different conventions. That's also a money thing, because we want to try and support our people going to these conventions and helping them go, and we can get more people going if we can make more money to give them so that they can go. So getting more than just me going to a convention, it's a money thing. Horace B, are all of our shows Savage World System? No, we've only got one show that's a Savage World System. That's Wildcards. Tempting Fate uses Lasers and Feelings. New Pantheon used the Scion RPG system, but may be shifting to a different RPG system for Season 2. The Broken Pact RPG and Dark Lanterns, which is our Eberron show, both use Dungeons & Dragons. Pirates of Salt Bay also uses Dungeons & Dragons. So, yeah, Savage Worlds is just one. Man, I'm doing like a lightning round. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, it would be expensive to go to Toronto, but I would love to go to Toronto. I'd love to go to Canada. BSB Care, we have so many great people out there in the frozen wastelands of Canada. And I'm positive it's frozen wastelands. You can't convince me otherwise. And yes, I know Zarfin, it's Sound of Music. So no, it's the Sound of Music. And so we open and it's hills. The Austrian hillside, and it's beautiful Austrian village, and the camera swoops through in these aerial shots of beautiful green rolling hills leading up into giant mountains. And as you go, the music starts swelling, and then you see a lone figure start to spin on the hill, and they're who are they? They have short cropped hair, and the music is just building and building and building, and it just goes to this.